Okay, guys, so we've got major elections coming up in the UK, France, and the US, and I'm going to go through each one and explain to you why each one is not a democracy. So the UK is the first one. UK, absolutely pathetic uni party, which is Labour and Conservatives, been ruling that country for 300 years, whatever. And there's no way of breaking that. How can I prove that to you? So currently we have Reform, which is on course. They've just had polling on 25% of the polls, and the SNP, which is the Scottish National Party, on 8% of the polls. Yet, the SNP will get 30 to 40 seats, and Reform will get, if they're lucky, 2 to 3 seats. 25%, 2 to 3, 8%, 40. How is that a democracy? And that's how the UK works. Everything is carved up nicely to make sure that only the uni party candidates can win, only left-wing candidates skewing left can win, and there's no way for any upstart political parties to have a chance of winning. That's the UK. Next one, France. So Macron is betting basically for the same thing again. The way it works is there is a round one presidential election, so whoever, kind of 20 people standing for president. But round two, only the top two go through. So normally what happens, it'll be, obviously, this time it's guaranteed to be Le Pen, which is called far right, but she's basically just normal, right? And then you have Macron, who's called normal, but he's far left, right? So you have normal Le Pen going to be against far left Macron, and they will compete against each other. Now, what will happen is everyone, because they don't want to be seen, they don't want anything to be done with normal. They don't want to be associated with normal people. So both the right and the left will consolidate against Macron and tell everyone to vote Macron, and that's how he wins every time. So it doesn't matter that she could be the single most popular person for president. Because everyone else consolidates their vote and gives it to Macron, he wins. Then you have a presidential, the parliamentary elections, which basically results in a hanging parliament, and so nothing ever happens in France, and that's why it's such a shambles. That's why nothing gets done. Then the US, obviously we know, the only democracy in the world that allows ballot harvesting, knocking on people's doors and asking them to give you their ballots and then posting it for them. Blanket postal ballots. Everyone gets a postal ballot, which means it's very easy to do ballot harvesting. Go around, knock on their doors, pick up their ballots and fill it in for them. And the third one is no voter ID, another absolute joke. And a fourth thing I actually forgot, cleaning your voter ballot, your voter ballot. So dead people, you don't have to erase them from your register. You can just keep them there for many, many years and build them up, and they're still there, and they're still sent blanket postal votes, which you then collect through your ballot harvesting, and then you dump into things. And you also have automated voting machines wide open to rigging compared to everywhere else. So those 5 things make a mockery of any democracy, and that is the US. So those are 5 things. Now, let's say you actually vote in Reform in the UK, Le Pen in France, and Trump in America, right? Finally, people's actual choice gets in. Great. They say we want to get rid of net zero. What will happen? No, can't do that. As we saw with Switzerland, they voted in a referendum and they voted a party that said we want to scrap net zero. What happened? The ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights, which again, it's a court of human rights, nothing to do with net zero, said no, net zero is a human right. Switzerland has to do it. Did you get that? It's like us, a country having a treaty on food standards, on no poison in their food, and then them going, oh, you have to actually accept immigrants now. Why? Because immigrants eat food. But this is talking about poison in food. Yeah, but immigrants eat food, and so therefore you have to have immigrants. Yeah, that's the same thing that they did. All these countries are signed up to all these international organizations, they're all WEF, World Economic Forum, all on the same, all these globalists, basically, they've signed you up to all these international treaties, international law. There's no such thing. There is no such thing as international law. There's only your country's law, right? Poland's law doesn't apply to me, and America's law, there's no such thing as international law. That is a lie, right? And so therefore, what happens is, the left wing just defer to them, say, well, it's not us, it's these, it's the international treaty, it's the Paris Accord, it's this accord. We have to abide by our international obligations, and that's how they get out of it. That's how all these governments get away with everyone signing up to the same thing. As we saw with the pandemic, every single person did the same thing with the thing to inoculate you. Everyone did the same thing, and now the net zero. Even Switzerland, one country wanted to say, no, we're not doing net zero. Sorry, mate, we're going to force you to do it anyway. No one is allowed to step away or be different. Everyone has to be aligned, the entire world. Why? So that no one can say, wait, they did something different and they're doing well. So in order for that not to happen, that's why they have to do this. And so that's also why we have fiat currencies. If one country stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to have it gold backed or backed by minerals or something, and then people say, wow, they've got like low inflation, they've got a growing economy. Why do we have massive inflation? Oh, it's because inflation is only due to fiat currencies. It's only due to printed fake monetary policy currencies. And in a real solid backed, gold backed, for instance, you can't print your way out. A gold backed currency, you will always have deflation. Prices will always go down. People's standards of living will always go up because prices go down. I don't even need a wage rise. I can just, my purchasing power always goes up because prices always go down. So it's great. I don't need a wage rise. Everything just keeps going down because of productivity. I always get to buy more, and so it's a great economy. So what do? They'll give you your 2-3% wage rise, yet inflation is raging at 10%, and they'll fake stat it and tell you it's 2%. That is what happens. So it's these international bodies that even if you were to vote the right way, even if you got past the system, the international bodies will overrule the countries and will enforce their way and will be activist and tell them what to do. And so that's why there is no democracy anymore. There is just the hard way of following these globalists, or the easy way. We might as well just vote left-wing WEF parties and normal traditional parties, and you're just going to get it anyway. There's no point really. Farage, Trump, Le Pen, not going to make any difference. Sorry to tell you.